Hello and welcome back to the Miscellaneous Ape YouTube channel. We are about a little under a week out, like 6 days out from this last general conference, and I wanted to make a follow-up video, kind of a review of conference, but also a review of how the predictions that were in my previous general conference video, how those played out and didn't play out. So right off the top, I think that most people would agree that this general conference was a bit disappointing when contrasted against the hype for it. I'm not exactly sure what big thing I was expecting, but I mean, there's a few interesting temple announcements. But the proclamation around the first vision being released it's not very substantive, and they kind of, because there's this dearth of important revelation or anything really noteworthy, every once in a while they'll release a proclamation as though it's some groundbreaking thing when it's really just kind of a rehash of stuff that's already been said. So this past conference didn't quite live up to the hype preceding it, but it wasn't terrible. Music was good. It was kind of interesting to watch previous recordings of all of the hymns. I like that they dated all of those. A little bit nostalgic. Good on them for, to the extent that they could, following social distancing protocols and all of those things. I'm sure they did everything they could to keep staff and the people recording it and everybody there as safe as they conceivably could. So anyway, let's get right into how the predictions played out. So one of my predictions, we'll get into the ones that I kind of got right, and then we'll do the ones that I got wrong after. So the one that I kind of got right was a somewhat standardized version of the first vision. They released this proclamation, which isn't exactly a standardized version of the first vision, taking from all of the different accounts and compiling it into one account and saying this is the one that, this is how it happened. But they did, in this proclamation, summarize all of the things that they want investigators and members to take away from what happened during the first vision. And kind of distill it down to the basics. And so I was kind of right, kind of wrong. There was something important around the story of the first vision that they focused on during this. And I wouldn't be surprised if they begin to use the proclamation to teach investigators, if they rely on that more heavily than the previous 1838 account of the first vision that they used to rely on, or that they still use now. So that one was kind of right, kind of wrong. The other prediction that I stated would happen is a re-emphasis on preparedness. That didn't quite happen. In the Saturday morning session, President Nelson did mention preparedness briefly, but it was not a focal point in the way that I predicted it would be. So again, kind of right, kind of wrong. Was mentioned, was not emphasized. The other thing that and along with preparedness, I did say that I thought that they would, even in this climate, mention tithing as a means of spiritual and temporal preparedness. I totally got that wrong. As far as I know, it didn't come up at all. So, I'm happy to take the L on that one. I'm glad they didn't bring it up. It showed that they aren't completely tone deaf, that they had the presence of mind not to talk about that issue in this economic climate. So good on them. They didn't bring it up. So I was also incorrect about the proxy baptism age being lowered. I still think I'm right in predicting that. I just didn't get the timing right. It didn't happen this conference, obviously, but I still think that's coming down the pipe, mostly because, like I said in my prediction video, the church likes things to be streamlined, and there's no reason not to do it. So I think that's still going to happen. And all of the things that I said would not happen didn't happen. So I was somewhat right in predicting the things that would happen, and I was 100% right in predicting all the things that would not happen. So there's no coffee and tea being removed from the word of wisdom. There's no reinstitution of polygamy or anything like that. So yeah, overall, it was a good conference. Bit of a letdown, but not the worst thing in the world. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys.